you will understand that the solution you've been creating in the first place will not be successful because it would not be fit to your customer base, which, by the way, when you launch a business, you don't know.
Welcome to You're the Boss podcast show. And today I have Laurent Cohen with me. Laurent, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ange. Thank you for having me. And hello to everyone listening.
Well, really glad to have you here. And Laurent, just tell us a little bit about your background first, who you are, what you do, and where you are. And we'll go on from there.
I'm 54. I've been born and raised in France. I've moved to the US back in 2002. And right now I'm in between the US, where I'm living, and we have our headquarters, and an office that we currently also have in Tel Aviv, Israel, where I am currently located now.
Right. Okay. All right. So tell me about your journey into entrepreneurship. How did this all start at the very beginning for you?
Well, this is something that started back in 1993. So at pretty young age, I felt the urge to find independence, believing at that time that it meant freedom. But I'd say that entrepreneurship is nothing close to freedom. And that's something maybe we can address later on the discussion.
You create your own little cage, right?
It all depends what you call freedom. Of course, there's obviously a certain level of freedom. I would not trade entrepreneurship to employment for anything in the world.
Me too.
Calling it freedom per se wouldn't be, I think, the exact word. And I would sum it up because the main reason is as successful as you are, as big your entrepreneurship is, or whatever you're doing is, you always work for someone else. And believe me that there's always a moment where the companies or people you're working with remind it to you.
Yeah.
So just to give a few examples, when you work in the digital realm, such as I've been doing for the past 23 years,
Mm.
thinking that I was independent was reminded to me by companies such as Google, Meta, Amazon, Banks, whoever, you name it. That reminded me very often that no, I'm working for them, at least with them, of course, but mostly for them.
Yes. Yeah, it is so true. It is so true. And something you mentioned before when we got on before recording this episode today, you said that you are not the boss. I think that was because this episode is or this podcast is you're the boss, but you're actually saying no, you're not the boss, right? Can you explain that?
No, I'm not the boss. Put aside what we just discussed. The boss are my customers. And it may sound, of course, the customer is king and clients are king. But it's a little bit more than that. If you go into depth of what it means that when you create a business or full of assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
of beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
you're pretty sure that you have the best tool, that everybody's going to love it. And if you stick to those assumptions, you're bound to fail. That's and this has to be an obsession for any entrepreneur. If you do not focus on your clients based on what they need, on every single message or hint that they can provide to you, you will understand that the solution you've been creating in the first place will not be successful because it would not be fit to your customer base, which, by the way, when you launch a business, you don't know. Again, those are assumptions. You think I'm going to
Yes.
work with that type of business, that size of
Yeah.
business, that kind of persons, we're going to
Yeah.
talk the same language. Well, every single morning when you wake up and you open your computer and you start interacting with those people, you understand that, first of all, you have many surprises, which are potentially good surprises, but you learn tons of information. And I would add that as someone working quite a lot, I have some habits. And among those habits, two are that the first thing I do every morning is looking at metrics and looking at what my customers are engaging with
Right.
towards it's within our interface or our messages or on social media. And I finish my day with the same routine. And I usually do it a couple of more times during the day. So first of all, it's kind of a break in between tasks
Right.
I have to do during the day. But that's, some people will take a walk. I go and listen to my customers. That's how I break from my routine. So, and it's not about pivoting your business. It's about adjusting your business every single minute, every single hour of the day.
Right. Yeah, because I think as well is you can't you can't predict what's going to happen anyway. But like the business journey is never a straight line upwards. It's this way, backwards, forward, backwards, up, down. You can never anticipate from one day to the next sometimes what you're going to face, right? And you've just got to get used to, I think as an entrepreneur, get used to the uncertainty in a way as well. And just being used to being uncomfortable in some cases.
It's a very humbling journey.
Hmm. Yeah.
Again, you're reminded quite often that first of all, yes, you have to stay humble and that you have to adjust. And if it doesn't happen to you,
Mm.
you're doing something wrong. That
Yeah.
means you're no, but I mean, you're inside your bubble, and
Yeah.
also at certain point in time, when you got some success, 1 month, 3 months, a year, 3 years, whatever the length of that peaceful time, I would say happens, usually, and that's a human reaction, move into a comfortable place, which is the most dangerous place as
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. Well,
Yeah. You
when
get,
comfort settles,
yeah.
because it bound to happen. You're bound to have something that's coming to your face. And those comfort zone, you know, can, you put your guards down,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And when the thing hits the fan, you know, if you're there, you're going to be hit hard.
Oh.
So I would tell anyone listening that I mean, it's not about being afraid or
Mm.
being alert. And
Mm.
being alert is again listening to your customers and watching your metrics.
But also sometimes there are things that you can't ever predict that will happen that actually happen to you, right? When you were telling me about the volcano incident and
Yeah,
how that affected your business. Can you tell us that story? Because that's devastating.
yeah. And this is a very interesting story. First of all, because it happened to me 16 years ago, and now I like to laugh about it. So I guess,
I believe it's 16 years
although,
actually. Wow.
yeah, although it was very tough at that time.
Mm.
But before diving into that story and trying to make it as short as I can, uh, it's a story about the force of nature. So that's exactly what you mentioned, Ange. You cannot predict anything, but that's also directly about what I was saying earlier, which was when you have your guard down, think it's going to come from here or from there. Well, sometimes it comes from up above.
Left field.
So back in 2010, I was into the e-commerce business and everything was doing perfectly fine. I was in that comfort zone. I actually was breaking the glass ceiling it took 3 years to break. I mean, the company was already existing for 8 years. I was doing very well for the first 6 years, but I had some sort of glass ceiling and then boom, everything went up. So I was ready for the Christmas season. Had multiple e-commerce websites, which were basically selling American products abroad. So I was exporting and I was selling health and beauty. I was selling toys. I was selling fragrances. Obviously, I don't know if you know that, Ange, but usually Christmas season for e-commerce starts right around October.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
are starting to order. So we're ready. We are entering the ring, first round. The warehouse is packed. The website are running. Teams are ready to work 24/7 toward Christmas. We're ready.
It's your
Beautiful.
busiest time
And
of year.
then exactly, orders start coming in and increasing day by day. This is beautiful. We're happy. We're working hard. But again, mentally, we're in very comfortable zone. Except that December 10, I put on the TV and I hear about this Iceland volcano erupting with this immense cloud all over Europe. And basically all the airplanes are on the floor. Nothing
Mm.
can fly in and out.
Yeah.
So I have, at that point, I'm selling, shipping around 1,200 packages per day, which is quite a lot.
Mhm.
Most of them are being stuck in Jamaica, New York, the airplane warehouse. And so, first of all, yes, force of nature, a volcano. And then you said, well, the cloud can disappear tomorrow, or maybe in 2 days or in 3 days. We don't really know.
Mm.
So, what do? Do you stop selling? Of course, first thing you do, because keep in mind, all those people order for Christmas, those are
Mm.
gifts for their loved one. That's a very
Yeah.
important thing, on top of the business aspect. Or you're here to don't to ruin people's Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interacting again with my customers, like thousands of emails per day, just to keep them in peace, reassuring them, telling them that this is not a scam. We have an issue, which is force of nature, a volcano. People are fine understanding, and we keep on shipping, and everything comes better. But some packages arrive after Christmas, which is not good. Nevertheless, we keeping, which is our main dangerous metric as a business, which is our merchant services chargebacks for
Mm.
credit cards, right around 1.4%, which, considering the volume of potential incidents that we had, was very, very tight, very tight.
Yeah.
But banks do not accept anything over 1%. So I come into the office mid-January and I have this Monday morning email. So right now we are on the 10th round of the boxing match. We
Mm.
fight, we sweat, we try to solve a problem, but the bank cancels our merchant services. So basically, we have websites, orders, customers, but we cannot charge them anymore.
Right.
This is terrible for an
Mm.
e-commerce business. I am into the 11th round and I'm knocked out.
Mm.
I'm stepped back 3 years. The ceiling I broke,
Yeah.
literally, the ladder I was in fell down and the glass
Okay.
over my face.
Mm.
That
Mm.
means something.
Yeah.
So, well, not going into details, we solved the problem. It took the initial problem a few weeks, but overall, getting back on track as a businessman took me 3 years from
Wow.
that single event, you know, from that single event.
Mm.
But now, first of all, yes, it's a funny story, right?
Mm.
You have a volcano on the other side of the world. Yeah, of course, that's funny. And second thing, now I'm going to tell you, Ange, that's probably, as the business owner, the best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay.
First of
Explain that.
all, yes, I learned, because you have to get lessons, right? At some point, and I've been blessed enough not to have harsh lessons until that time. So, you have to have it. And I would tell anyone listening that as early on in career you have it, as better it is.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, me, it took 20 years. 20 years, exactly 20 years. So, first of all, I had that lesson. Again, circling back to what we said earlier, things are about to happen. You think you know where they're not going to come from. Well, you don't know. You need to be ready. You need to have your guards up. You need to have your options open. You cannot think about everything, but what that did to me is that I decided, after being on the ground and knocked out, and wake up, say, of course I'm going to fight back, but I'm not going to assume that that's an act of God. I couldn't have done anything. That's not my fault. No, that's my fault. What did I do wrong for that to happen and hurt my business that bad? You see? And then you start think. You say, well, maybe it was because 100% of my business was abroad. So eventually, when you have airplane problem, you have shipping problem, it can be a volcano, but it can be anything else. You have only one channel, and there's a kind of, you know, blind spot here that
Mm.
I accepted
Mm.
for years. I didn't
Yeah.
wanted to look at it.
So
So
it's kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket kind of thing,
that's
right?
exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And you know what? That's interesting what you're saying, Ange, because it's not that I've never thought about putting the eggs in one basket. The fact I knew that. I knew it. But then again, it's about comfort. You know?
Mm.
the business is
Think
growing,
everything's gonna be okay.
it's an
Yeah.
let's go that route, let's do it. And of course, truth, but I should have had a plan B, and basically what I did the next few years is build my plan B,
Okay.
which allowed me not only to, okay, first decision was let's sell in America. I'm based there. Okay, what do I do to sell there? Yeah, there's social media too that are starting big, and I was more focused on Google at that time. Oh, so I need to learn social media. I could have learned that 3 years before. No, I was comfortable zone. So social
Okay.
media, America, what do I do? Boom, 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 boom. I created a brand. I created a new company. It went even bigger than the previous one. So now I had two companies that were working very well. I had a plan A and a plan B,
Mm.
and my mind was straight. And told myself, this will never happen to me again. I will have more issues, but I will anticipate the fact that if I'm hurt here, I won't be hurt there.
Right. Nice.
And
That's such an
also,
important lesson.
lastly, when you have such big, endeavor, mishap, something that hurts so much, take it very strongly. It even affects you in your body, in your mind, in your body, you're hurt.
Mm. Mm.
I decided from that moment on that I would be more calm. I would not let things hurt me that bad. And also it really changed my mindset.
Right.
So to wrap up that story, do not let things get inside your head and your body because it can really hurt very badly. you know.
Mm.
So if that happens to you very early in your career, we're young, and we're very sensitive, as you get older, your mind is built differently.
Right.
So you'll get hurt, you'll feel the pain, you know. Well, it's easier to say than to
Yeah.
do, but think about the fact that year from now, the story will be seen from a different angle.
Yeah. Were you ever, affected by the 2008 recession?
Yeah,
That
in a
hit you?
great way. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. Yeah, yeah. That was the opposite. And you know what? That's perfectly matching my story.
Uh,
This, the thing that by 2008, everything was crumbling down around me in the USA, but my business being abroad was blooming. It was like a pure serendipity to me. People locally were hurt. Not that I wished that for them, but they were hurt. So on a personal level, I could buy a house, I could cheaper, and I was making even more money because my business was blooming abroad.
yeah.
But now you understand why I was in that comfort zone. You know,
Yeah.
I
'Cause
mean,
you're thinking, "I'm
2008
okay."
didn't hurt me.
Yeah.
What's going to hurt me? Well,
Yeah. So how about then COVID? Did anything affect you during COVID?
oh, very bad.
The lockdown? Mm.
COVID hurt me. COVID hurt me.
Right.
But again, it was 8 years after the volcano. So my mindset was totally different. But
So tell
COVID
me
hurt me.
Okay, so tell me about your mindset because this is interesting because I think this is one of the key points about being an entrepreneur, right? Having your own business, you have to be in the right mindset. So you mentioned that you decided after the volcano incident that you were going to change the way you thought, right? You were going to be calmer. How did you go about doing that? What techniques did you put in place to make that happen?
There are many levels, and that's a very personal thing. But sharing it will help. I hope people are listening to it.
Yeah,
First of all, that you need to know who you are. Again, those are very broad words and sounds very simple, and very social media, blah blah blah. But this is so true in many aspects. The first one is that as I was growing as a man and as an entrepreneur, again, you gain confidence when you get to sex, you gain comfort. And at some point, you have more resources, obviously. And you sometimes, and that's a mistake I did, decide to change the way you're going to work. So you will not be yourself anymore.
mm,
For example, the way I'm built, I'm a bootstrapper. I'm a hands-on person. I like to take care of things. Some people are great leaders. They surround themselves with a lot of people. That's not me.
right,
I like to be hands on things.
right.
But then, I had comfort, I had resources. I say, oh, I'm going to hire and I'm going to let that guy do that while I'm going to the restaurant or the beach, and it's going to work even better. And well, it didn't work. It
Yeah,
didn't work because that's not who I am. So I'm
You're right.
not saying that when you're growing as a company, you should not hire and structure yourself. You should, but do not let that put yourself, your personality in the wrong path.
Yeah. So build the
That's the
business for the way you work, right? The way you are. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Stick to what you are.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with
Yeah.
people that have better knowledge. Listen to them. That I was always good at listening to other people, but I was actually over listening.
Right.
I went from one excess to the other, from being bootstrap, hands on, to just delegating way too much and
Okay.
giving too much trust to
Right.
people that were surrounding me in the workplace. That was a
Mm,
mistake
mm,
because to compensate that, you have to be a great leader.
mm.
And was I at that time the great leader that could structure this team? And I had two continents, traveling all the time. No, that's not. You have qualities, and you don't. No, you are.
So
And
was
then on
this
on another level, that you mentioned how I structure myself. I've had a great result working on how to relax yourself. So there's a lot of tools, that you can use to do that, and they work. So
mm,
people should think about it too.
mm. Okay. Is there any particular tools you use to help yourself relax? It's because there's
Yeah,
obviously
I
sometimes the
have
day can get on top of you and right.
had those great apps that you download on your phone,
Uh-huh.
that well, whether it's with sound or with
Okay.
voices or
Calming,
anything
right.
calming,
Yeah.
it works tremendously for me.
Okay.
It's
All right.
especially starting the day with that.
Right.
Again, you're very young, you discard
Mhm.
those tools, saying, "Oh, that's not for me." I'm strong, I'm cool. Well, it
Yeah,
helps a lot.
sometimes you just have to take stock and realize, okay, I need to just stop and not take everything on the way I have been, right? Because you can just run yourself into the ground if you continue that way as well. So it's lessons learned as you go along, right? For
Yes.
sure. Oh, so just backtracking a little bit, I'm just curious on, when you said the banks closed down on you, right, because of the chargebacks. So you couldn't take payments. I mean, obviously that's the death of a business, right? If you can't if you've got customers and then you can't actually take payment from them, I can't think of anything worse. So how did that resolve for you?
Well, that's the beauty of America. You always have a solution. Is it the good solution? At that time, I didn't feel like it, but you have those kind of gray zone bank
Okay.
merchant services sharks that instead of charging you 1.5%, charge you 6% and then have 5% retainers
Right.
that they say they're going to give you back in a year and it takes 3 years to get back. So basically, I was able within a week to find a solution to process payments, but I had 12% off my top, of the
Right.
top that was
Right.
squeezed. I had after a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars stuck there. The guy
Okay.
would not even answer my call to give back my money. I had to take a lawyer. It took another year so I could just retrieve my money.
Oh,
So that's why I told you it not only sent me back, but it took literally 3 years overall to
right.
really get back to where I
Okay.
was.
Okay.
So and it was very painful because I don't wish anyone listening to have to work with those guys,
Yeah.
those merchant services, that do well. They provide a service, so I guess no.
Yeah.
What do you say now?
Yeah. Well, they helped you out at a time when you needed it, I guess.
I guess, and they got rewarded for that. I guess
Yeah.
so. Pretty.
That's business. Oh, dear. Okay, so how did you then move on to what you're doing now? Tell us about what your business is now and how did that all come about?
In multiple steps. First was being amazed by AI, like probably every single one people in the world.
Yeah.
I think this is extraordinary. I think we are living a fabulous time. I'm still like a child every single day when I see a generated video, audio, whatever you name it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. So that was the first step. Then,
Mm,
as me being a geek, I said I cannot let that train pass by. I have to do
mhm.
something. I have to do
Right.
something. And around 15 more 2 years ago, I received a phone call, and it took me 3 minutes to realize that I was talking with an AI.
Okay.
So I said, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought I was smarter than that, but
Yeah.
apparently voice AI is
So you
strong
actually
enough.
thought it was a human, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah. It
AI.
asked
Okay,
me
wow. And that was
three
3 years ago.
questions.
Wow. Okay.
2 years, 2 years. Yeah,
Okay.
it took
Okay.
asked me three questions, and
Yeah.
only by the fourth question I understood that I was not talking to a human. So I said, okay,
That
I'm
happens
gonna
to me all the time with the chat,
yeah. So I
usually when
said
you're
I'm gonna
typing
dig
in
into
and
that.
then you suddenly realize, "Okay, yeah, I'm not talking to a human." Yeah.
Exactly. Same thing, but with voice, you have this layer of emotion that you do
Yes.
not have with the chat.
Yeah.
So you're even more surprised and even more amazed. So I decided to look into that, and I saw that voice AI was very mature as a technology, but not integrated into businesses
Mm.
as it should be, and especially into local and small businesses. So I decided to understand why it's not there and what can I do to do it differently from other voice
Right.
AI companies. Voice
Okay.
AI company are usually SaaS company,
Huh.
so they create a voice AI, they create a solution, and they go fetch for customers.
Mm.
Standard business.
Mm.
I told myself with my partner, we cannot do it the same way. We have to do it differently. The reason is, and again, I'm circling back to trying to understand who our potential customers were, local
Mm.
and small businesses.
Mm.
Why don't they use voice AI now? And we quickly understood that it was not because of the technology. It was a matter of trust.
Okay.
Why? As a business owner, especially local business again and small businesses, you built your company with trust, with the trust that you create with your customers, your clients. And that trust is created over the voice, whether it's face to face or over the phone. You create a certain level of intimacy when people know you, they trust you, you solve problem, by answering questions, you address issues. And this is the voice that's doing that. On a large scale company, when you have 30,000 employees, it's not the voice. Everything is very structured, you have messages, you have terms, legal terms, either you abide to the terms or you don't. The company has solved that issue.
Yeah.
The small business have not. Self business rely on their voice. So delegating that voice to an AI slash machine is a big step.
Mm.
So from that standpoint, we said, okay, so if we're not a voice company, meaning the voice is only our solution, we are a trust company. We need to build trust because the business gonna ask us to convey the trust they built for years. The, the real thing is not to break that trust. It's
Mm.
commitment that we do.
Yeah.
So we built our business around that. And in order to do that, what we decided to do is create a directory where we have as now 1.8 million listing pages for businesses in the US. And we have as many voice AI deployed. So 1.8 million voice AI, which is a very big scale. And we haven't seen any other company doing currently. So
Right.
we're very proud of it. What does it mean in terms of trust? That means that any business that is listed or that is creating a listing on that
Mm.
directory,
Mm.
which is something that takes less than 5 minutes, you put all your information in, pre-trains immediately the voice AI that will be deployed on the listing. That allows the business to interact with that voice AI,
Mm.
understanding how it works,
Mm.
understanding the level of quality we're providing, and eventually they can share the page of the directory with their clients so they can start interacting with the voice AI. That's the first step, and that's free.
Okay. Okay.
The next step,
And that saves a lot
once
of time as well.
that saves a lot of time, and that's a very reassuring point,
Mm.
in terms of what do we do? You see it, you test it, you're not surprised. You know what you're going to
H
pay for.
How much testing do you have to do to make sure it's gonna say the right things? Because 'Cause I'm thinking, for example, today I've got one that sort of AI that kind of writes my emails for me, writes the replies, but I don't trust it enough to say, send it. Let me check it first. And there's a very good reason for that. Because sometimes I look at some of the flyers and I'm like, oh my God, I would never send that. Never would I send that. Right. So sometimes the results are not as expected. So how do you sort of reassure customers that the AI is not going to say something completely, off brand or wrong information?
We have two levels. And again, that's what differentiates ourselves from other voice AI company.
Right.
The first layer is the information that the business provides.
Mm,
So as much information as you provide on your
mm,
listing page, the
mm,
better the AI will respond.
mm,
But that is not enough. That
mm,
is the root, that is the basis, that is the business information, and we
mm,
need it.
mm.
But what we have, remember what I said earlier, Ange, we have 1.8 million listings and we have hundreds of minutes per day, hundreds of minutes and hundreds of discussions per day throughout our directory,
Right.
which means that every single morning we take the information from the prior day, we analyze it, and we feed with those information all the agents that we have on our platform,
Mm,
which make them smarter. So
mm.
basically, it's a crowd source information data set that
Okay.
is created by all the businesses that are on our platform, all the interaction on our platform, which enrich in a way that none other business can do.
Mm,
Because again, when you're a SaaS company, you have one customer, you have 100 customers. Good for you.
mm.
Beautiful. But then do you address those data? Do you feed
Right.
it back to the machine? Do you enhance and improve constantly with
Okay.
this crowd information? Well, that's what we do.
So is this
So
kind of like
basically,
machine learning? Kind of, it learns from.
well, it is machine learning, but this is on the data layer. You
Mm,
see, we
mm,
use AI to treat the data, but
mm,
initially the data are real data. This is really the center of what we're building. Data structure that feed the agents with information come in from their listing, but also from all the businesses
right.
that are interacting with our agents. So that creates a layer of information and accuracy that is pretty tremendous. In turn, and I'm addressing exactly what you mentioned in your case, your Ange, for your emails. Once you have the core data and the quality of data, there's another layer that is mandatory. Those are creating guardrails and fallbacks.
Mm,
Guardrails, because you want to protect the data
mm,
of your customers. You want to protect the data of the user interacting with the voice AI, and you have to have guardrails so that the AI knows that at some point, whether it's an emergency, whether it's a edge case that has not been treated, it needs to be fallback to the business.
mm.
Because the voice AI, as smart as it is, and it's improving by day, is still something in the work. And at some point, we are not here to replace the humans. The business owner is the business owner. You have at some certain moment in time to fall back to the business and
Yes.
link it to the user. That's
Yeah.
what we do.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So where can people go to find out about this business and how can they sign up and get their own voice AI?
So you just very easy. You go to getoblic.com, look, search for your listing. You can do it by voice too, by the way. There's a phone number you can call. There's an agent you can call from a computer, from your phone. You can search
Okay.
online. We have, you just ask, I'm Ange Dove. Is my listing there? We will
Mm.
find it or
Okay.
not. And if it's not listed there, you create an account and add the listing. All the links are there. It takes 5 minutes. And once it's listed and approved, you can immediately go to your page and start interacting with the voice AI. If you feel like some information are missing, you just go back to editing the page. You had the list of your offers, solution,
Mm.
prices, opening hours, if any,
So that's the thing
anything
because
that's relevant.
I've signed up for it, and that's where at the stage I'm at the moment. I have to go back in and feed it all that information. But that's kind of is that kind of a one time thing that you have to provide it all that information, and then you just got to invest that time to give it the information that it needs, and then you done in that sense.
There's two levels. First of all, keep in mind, this is not prompting.
Mm,
So it's not difficult. This is
mm.
pure text. You have a
Yeah,
description text, you enter your information. So if you just copy and paste your website, it will
yeah,
work.
yeah.
So the core information, you don't have to go back.
Right.
Now, if you have new information, obviously, you have, let's say you're a business, you have a
A new
promotion,
service or something.
you
Yeah.
have, you have a discount code. You can put
Right.
discount code and the caller can say, hey, do you have a code for me? Yes, I have 50% if you use the code Ange. That
Yeah.
information, we do not have it unless you provide it.
Yeah.
So obviously, should you decide to intensively use digital AI,
Yeah.
we suggest strongly that you refresh any of those, temporary informations, but the core information stay there.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So there'll be a link to the website wherever people are watching or listening to this. You'll actually see the link here. So Laurent, thank you so much for today. It's been so nice talking to you. Is there anything we should have covered that we haven't before we finish?
Thank you. It was a lovely discussion, Ange. We are both of us at two sides of the world and we're together being able to talk is
Is
beautiful.
amazing, right?
So what I would tell everyone here is do not be afraid of AI. Do not
Yeah.
be afraid of technology. Everybody knows there's a lot of AI bashing these days. Obviously, as any new technology, some things are great, some are less great, but it will not replace us. And I can tell you that because as as much as I'm using AI during the day, and I am very intensively using it, the core of the business is
Mm.
still
Still human. Right.
interacting with the customers and clients, and that won't go away because the AI will never be a client. We'll still work with humans.
Yeah.
So they will not replace us. They will free us. And by the way, AI voice is a freeing tool because every call doesn't necessitate an interruption.
Yes.
So if you can free yourself from the phone during the day and focus on what you do
Yeah.
best, which are your skills and the core of your work, you'll
And then you don't
get
have to
growth.
keep repeating the same information over and over again.
Yeah, and don't get me started on spams.
Yes. Wonderful. Yeah. And I think it's a case of as well, we'll look back in a few years and just wonder how we ever managed without it. Right? It's like you look back now and you think, how did we manage without the internet? Right. It'll be the same with AI. How did we ever manage?
That's 100%
Mm.
certain. And
Mm.
as far as was AI, I hope that I will have played a little part of it.
Yes, you will have for sure. Hey, Laurent, thank you so much for this today. It's been fascinating talking to you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Angie. I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show today. And if you've liked what you've heard, then do subscribe to the channel wherever you see it, wherever you're watching it. And if you're on YouTube, ring the bell so that you can get notified when we upload another episode so you don't miss the episodes as they come up.